Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josey. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of Badassery herself, the real Jen Josey. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josey, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's Badassery Bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is the importance of vetting lenders. In the fast-paced world of real estate investing, securing financing is often the key to closing a deal. But not all lenders are created equal, and choosing the wrong one can derail your investment before it even gets off the ground. That's why vetting your lenders is not just a step in the process, it is a non-negotiable. Here are 5 ways to vet your lenders before they show you the money. Number 1, check their track record. A lender with a solid history of funding deals on time is important. If they're new or have spotty reputation, proceed with caution. Always ask for references from other investors. Number 2, understand their terms, all of them. Interest rates are just the tip of the iceberg. Pay attention to hidden fees, prepayment penalties, and balloon payments that could eat up your profits. Clear upfront terms are a must. Number 3, communication is key. A good lender should be responsive, transparent, and clear about the process. If they're difficult to reach or vague in their answers, it could slow down your deal when it matters most. Number 4, know the upfront costs. Some lenders require a significant amount of money upfront, whether it's for origination fees, appraisals, or other costs. Be sure you understand exactly what's required before committing so you're not caught off guard. Number 5, avoid predatory lending practices. This one is by far the most important. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Watch out for aggressive lenders who pressure you into signing quickly without reviewing the fine print. Some are even scam artists who promise easy funding or no credit checks but require hefty upfront fees. Once they get your money, they vanish without a trace. So, your lender should be a partner, not an obstacle. Take the time to vet them properly, read the fine print, and trust your gut. The right financing can make or break your deal, so choose wisely. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us Mitchell Jaworski. From corporate finance cubicle jockey to full-time investor, Mitchell has spent the past decade mastering both real estate and cryptocurrency. As the author of Scaredy-Cat Guide to Investing in Rental Properties and Scaredy-Cat Guide to Knowing What the Heck Bitcoin Is, he breaks down complex financial concepts into digestible, actionable insights. Mitchell also enjoys diving into deeper conversation of lifestyle freedom versus financial freedom, helping others understand how to build wealth while designing a life they truly love. It's my pleasure to have him on the show, so welcome, Mitchell Jaworski. Welcome.
Man, that intro will get everyone's confidence pumped up. So I'm glad I'm sitting down. I mean, just listening to that intro, I'm like, all right, Jen's not messing around. I'm like, we got rock star intros. We're dropping knowledge on, bestowing knowledge on lenders. I'm thinking to myself, this podcast might go off the rails. We could just talk about dealing with lenders for the whole thing. I mean, I'm sure you've had enough experiences, and I know I have, learning as you go. First off, thanks for having me. This is going to be awesome. I can already tell. Your intro, like I said, is enough information to have a podcast on alone. And I'm just looking forward to being able to share, hopefully, a couple of additional nuggets. But the listeners already got a gem, and it hasn't even started.
Well, thank you so much, Mitch, and I appreciate that. And we got to give a shout out to our mutual friend, Dave Kurzman, who introduced us, who has nothing to do with real estate. I've known him
Nope.
since middle school. You were like, I've known him for 20 years. I'm like, I've known him for 40. So pretty scary. I
We're
know
not
my
that
age.
old.
Exactly. But thanks, Dave Kurzman, for the introduction here. And I am excited to meet you. I'm from South Florida, where you currently are right now. So let's get this party started. How did you get involved with real estate?
Oh, goodness. I'm trying to think of the short version because there's not enough time. It'll turn into one of those like 2-hour Tim Ferriss like podcasts if we do the whole journey. But we will cut to when I got to Florida. I relocated to Florida in 2004 for basically a really from New York.
From New York.
Accent will give it away at some point. Still have it all these years later.
Well, when you move to North Carolina, they're going to call you a halfback because you moved from New York to Florida. Yes. But when you moved to North Carolina, you only made it halfway back. So we call those halfbacks. But anyway, keep going.
No, you're correct. That term's been out there for a hot minute. And I got personally some friends that have done that. And hell, I have some friends that came to Florida and then decided that they wanted to go halfway back and ended up in North Carolina.
Exactly.
But yeah, so basically it's a fun story, but we won't get into it. The short version is I got a job offer that was just too good to say no to. Didn't intend to move to Florida, but found myself working in corporate down in Boca Raton, and that's how I ended up here. A year and a half into that, I realized it wasn't my corporate job in New York I hated. It was just working that type of job I hated. I was an investor. I got basically addicted to the stock market when I was like 20 years old. I remember loosely trading stocks when I was in college. So I was very active in stocks, and I thought like that's how I was going to make $1 million quick, until you realize like day trading is very tough. I did do it at one point full time for a firm in Boca. I did grind by a living, but that's all it ever was. And I realized really only about 2% of the office made like really good money. And I just wasn't built for it. Like you have to have a certain personality type. So I kind of burnt out with that, and was back into corporate finance. And a old colleague who was into stocks told me, he's like, dude, forget the stock market. He's like, you got to start buying real estate. Now, this is 2011, 2012, when in South Florida, everything was still, fire sale, basically the greatest time to buy ever. So I didn't listen to him, of course, because I was addicted to the stock market. But that's what first kind of put it on my radar. And then I got to the thinking of, all right, I got this day job. And it's like, and yeah, like I'm actively trading stocks, but these are all active things to earn income. Like, how do I earn passive income? So that's kind of the big tagline with rental properties. It's like, assets that earn you income. So I was like, all right, I need to start getting assets that earn me income that don't require me to actually do something to create a capital event. So I started poking around, and I did exactly what you're not supposed to do. They say, no, don't rent to friends and family. Well, this is how I ended up with my first rental property. I'm at my buddy's house. It's football season. We're watching all the football, and his dad mentions that he's got to move out of his place because his landlord apparently stopped paying the mortgage and was getting foreclosed on.
Oof.
Yes, even though he was paying rent, I guess the landlord was in some heated battle with the divorce or whatever it was. So I look at him and I say, hey, if I buy a place that's like the same size, like 3 bedrooms, I'm like, and can rent it to you for the same amount, would you want to do it? And he's like, 100%. So that's really how it started. I found a townhome in Boynton Beach that I purchased, and then he moved in, and I became a landlord. And ironically, I didn't even own my own place. I was renting myself. So I bought an investment property before I even bought my own primary. But yeah, so that's how the ball got rolling. And then I just started slowly, old school, like saving for a down payment, buying a property. So I just bought locally. My first 4 properties were all within like 2 miles of where I lived because I was a big scaredy-cat, and I felt like I needed to be able to drive by them, which is hilarious considering now everything I buy is out of state. And for me, sight unseen, like my partners look at it, but I never even see these properties. I mean, we flip properties I've never even been in, never even seen.
Wow.
So I take care of the numbers, and I handle the financial side and help with deal flow. But anyway, so yeah, it was a slow burn because I was still in corporate. And then in 2017, the company I was working for, there was a big merger going on, and I knew that at that time I was actually working as a consultant as opposed to like an actual W-2, and I knew they were going to cut all the consultants, and I had planned on making the jump sometime, but it wasn't then because I didn't have enough rental properties yet to cover my income and all that.
Right.
And the best thing that happened with that was it made me actually look at, well, what do I spend? What does it cost to live? Because most of us really don't do that. So this is early 2017. I'm like, all right, well, what did 2016 look like? And granted, my case might have been a little different in that I was very much conservative in that I don't like having like a ton of debt. I'm not bougie or like I don't really like buy a bunch of nice things, whatever. So I had no car payment. I owned my condo outright. So I just had a very low debt load. So when I added everything up and I looked at how much like my life cost in 2016, I pretty much giggled. Like it was, I'm like, there's no way. And I had a rock star year. Like I went to Vegas 3 times. I went to New York like 4 times. I went to Chicago. Like I traveled everywhere. Honestly, I was in a little bit of a party phase. I went out in Delray probably every weekend. So I'm like, how did I only spend this much money? And once I realized that, I'm like, you know what? I'm not looking for another job.
Love
So
it.
yeah, that job ended, and I had already been working from home for 3 years at that point. So I'm like, there's no way I'm going back to an
Ugh.
office. Nope.
I agree 1,000%. Well, thank you for sharing that story. And this is a very overused term, but it was a blessing in disguise
Yeah.
that happened to you. I love that. So many of the listeners are still actually working in their W-2s right now and looking for the right time to leave. You didn't really have that option, but what were some of the biggest challenges you faced when transitioning from this traditional job to becoming your own boss?
So the reality is like I was targeting actually 2018 as my date to make the jump because obviously get more rental properties, build up that residual income. But I will say this, it was a blessing in disguise because the reality is I probably would have slow danced on it, especially kind of like being the scaredy cat. I just wouldn't have pulled the trigger probably, and I would have looked up and it probably would have been 2020 and I probably still would have been miserable at that job. So sometimes your hand being forced is actually a blessing. So the biggest thing is I was still smart about it because I did have some income coming in. Now, granted, it was like a fraction of what my income from my day job was, but I also had saved money. So I had a year's worth of living saved in the
Wow.
bank. Yeah. So I knew that, all right, well, I can do my thing here for at least a year. And if everything goes wrong, I'm solid for at least a year. I've talked to a lot of people that want to jump from their W-2, and I know a lot of people that have. And I always tell them, I'm like, listen, I get it, and I am always been a proponent of get out as soon as you can, but at the same time, don't. Because there's so many advantages of having that W-2. One of them is, and you talked about it in your bestowment, is lending.
Yes.
And I bought a property. The last deal I bought in Florida, ironically, was 2017. And I literally bought it just because I knew it was the last opportunity for me to get a regular loan. It was a mediocre deal. I mean, obviously it worked out because appreciation here has been stupid. But as far as the numbers, it like barely met my threshold. But I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm buying it because I can get this loan right now. And in 3 months, I'm not gonna be able to get this loan.
Well said. Yes, very important. Another thing is insurance too, having to pay for health insurance when not having a job. What are some other things that I and to back it up a little bit here, Mitch, I love that you're saying you don't need to jump right away because of these things. So, like you said, the lending, I said insurance. Can you think of other reasons to
I mean,
stay a
those are the
little bit
two
longer? Yeah.
biggies, but also it's like I get it. Listen, it sucks to basically work 2 jobs because like when you have your W-2 and then you're trying to build your own business, I mean, you're burning the candle, and it is what it is. And I'm gonna quote an overused mantra is that if you're willing to live like no one else for whatever it is, a few
Okay.
years, then you
I,
can live
this
like no
is
one else the rest
my
of your life.
This is my quote. I use this all the time. I put this in my book. I have a whole chapter on this specific quote. And the quote is, I'll probably butcher it too. Most people, no, entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people won't, so you can live the rest of your life like most people can't. Boom, I nailed it. I don't even know who said it.
Exactly.
So, yes,
Yes.
I love that quote, Mitch. And thank you for bringing that up because that
I'm
is
glad you cleaned
so
it up
true.
because I was like loosely paraphrasing, which sadly I'm like, why is my memory not pulling this out of the banks? But no, and it's true. And you know what? During that time it sucks, but it's just like it's like the delayed gratification thing, right? You look at every like study on success, and like one of the key components is always delayed gratification, especially
Yes.
like today's day and age where like there's no delayed gratification because everything's just now, instant, instant, instant. So yeah, people that I've worked with, I tell them, I'm just like, don't be in a rush to leave your W-2 because your W-2, yeah, it might be miserable, but it's a huge resource to you, and leverage that resource as much as you can until it's time to make the jump. And which is crazy because like I left early, but I've talked people off the ledge, so to speak, in terms of like not leaving their W-2 too early, especially if you have a family. Like me, it was easier. I didn't have any kids or anything. So, and I had no like real like bad debt. So my risk profile wasn't that
Right.
high. It's like I just have to worry about me. And it's like at the end of the day, it's like if stuff really got bad, it's like I'll just drive Uber or something, right? Like, so I didn't really have as many worries. And it's like if you got a family you got to worry about. It's like, all right, well, you got to take this a little more serious, and that doesn't mean you should let it completely scare you from making the jump, but just be prepared. And you're a real estate investor, you know what the saying is. Basically, anytime someone gets started, it's like, listen, if you do it right, you can set yourself up, but it takes 3 to 5 years, and
Right.
that's if you do it well. So,
Yes.
people got to ask themselves, all right, am I willing to grind for 3 years where I have my W-2 and I'm doing real estate? And it looks different for everybody. I was blessed in that I was working from home the last few years, so it gave me the flexibility to sneak off and look at real estate during the day. Like I remember driving with Dolls in West Palm Beach, 2 p.m. on a weekday. It's like I got my phone in case any emails pop through, and it's like if something really bad popped off, I'd scoot back home and get in front of my computer if I couldn't do it from my phone. So that flexibility helps. In this day and age, majority of people are working from home. So the flexibility is there. I think there's more of an opportunity to do it than there was in prior years where you really had to like burn the candle and like you were doing all your stuff like on your lunch break or after work or getting up early to get things done before work. But again, it goes back to how much do you want it, and are you willing to basically, I don't want to use like sad words, but be miserable essentially for a few years in order to live the life on your terms the rest of it. So yeah, I think really I just like to always kind of slap people with reality and be like, hey, listen, it sounds great on paper, but are you willing to put in the work and do it? And just make sure you're set up. Make sure you have minimum 6 months worth of savings to live on when you make the jump, and you already have income producing investments that help pay your bills. And it kind of segues into, and I don't know if you want to talk about it now, we could always circle back. It segues into like the different types of financial freedom,
Right.
right? Which also leans into what is lifestyle freedom. And it's like everyone's like, oh, I want financial freedom, but really what they're talking about is they want lifestyle freedom. They're just thinking about the money piece of it.
Exactly. And I'm glad you mentioned that because that is the where I want to take the conversation next, is because one of your talking points is the difference between lifestyle freedom and financial freedom. So, can you break out the difference between the two?
Yeah, and obviously it's going to come from my perspective, which might be different than some other people's, but because it's definitely a different look if you're a parent with multiple children, as opposed to if you're someone that doesn't have any kids. That definitely changes the dynamic a bit. But at the end of the day, it's just like I look at, and again, these things are kind of like tied, but they're not hand in hand completely because like I've achieved lifestyle freedom, but like I have a level of financial freedom, but I don't have like this like full blown financial freedom. Like I'm not there's different levels of financial freedom. So I have lifestyle freedom in that my schedule is whatever I want it to be.
Right.
Like, and that's the dream everyone thinks of when they're thinking about I want to be financially free. They're thinking about they want to do things on their terms, on their schedule, how they want it, right? So I'm able to do that. But that doesn't mean that I've reached like the pinnacle of financial freedom. Like I've reached a level of it, but there's definitely multiple levels. And lifestyle freedom, like I said, it goes back to, all right, I have the power to choose, right? I can create my own schedule. I can do things spontaneously if I want to, right? I am not basically beholden to someone else's demands, like a boss, basically. It's like I have a job and it's like I have to be at the office at 9 o'clock and I have to be there until 5. And it doesn't even matter if I don't have any work to do, which anyone that's ever worked an office job, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. There's times when I would be sitting in front of my computer for 2 hours, just
Yep.
twiddling thumbs because I'm like, there's no work left.
Yeah,
Like,
you describing that made me shudder a little bit. I was like, ugh, just the thought of having to go back into an office and deal with all of that. Bring your lunch if you want to work through lunch so that you can leave
right.
early. Ugh.
And then
Anyway.
pretend to look busy, even though like, and again, and like, it depends on your career. Like me,
Right.
I worked in corporate finance / IT, and we had quote unquote close week, which that week we were working like 10, 12-hour days. But then like middle of the month, it would be crickets. So I'd literally just be sitting at the office pretty much doing nothing. Well, we all know I was searching real estate, but, or looking at stock charts. But it was just so, yeah, it was just so annoying to me. I'm like, this is the biggest inefficient waste of time. So now I have the freedom to do whatever I want because I have that lifestyle freedom. So, I mean, my schedule is whatever I create. I have some structure, but at the same time, most days I wake up and there's a lot of flexibility on what am I going to do today? I might have some Zoom calls lined up like that I regularly do, but like case in point, like I go play basketball at 3 p.m. at a public park on weekdays. Like, who does that? Like, literally, it's a running joke at the park with the guys. I'm like, does anyone work in South Florida? Like, how do we have like 40 guys at the park at 3 p.m. on weekdays? Like, what is happening here? But again, I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have the lifestyle freedom. Like, if I had essentially that day job. So, yeah, lifestyle freedom is just being controlling your own destiny when it comes to your schedule,
I,
right?
I love all of that because one of my questions at the very end of of our podcast is going to be, what does success mean to you? And so many people say freedom, that word freedom, but for me, it's choices.
Yes.
And I feel like that lifestyle freedom allows me the choices. And yes, having financial freedom, again, and you mentioned I feel like you are more so you have the financial freedom, but not compared to others. And a lot of times that is one of the biggest issues with talking about financial freedom is that comparison to what other people are doing. And you said you're not bougie, and because these people are driving these fancy cars and
Yep.
doing all this. And so I'm with you on that. I love the whole thought of lifestyle freedom. And by the way, if I was down there in South Florida, I would meet you at that court at 3 p.m. because I am a power forward myself. And my best feature is boxing out because I use what my mama gave me, and I will never let you get a rebound over me. Just saying. So
On. Listen, that's fine. You can be on my team because I'm lefty, so I'm a shooter. So I'm happy for you to box out and grab those rebounds if I happen to miss.
very, very good.
But yeah, I honestly I like that you used the word like being able to like choose, like that freedom of choice. That's really what it
Yes.
is. And again, we create our own prisons in a lot of ways. So that is what it is. It's like, all right, well, what kind of lifestyle do I want, right? And then it's like, well, how much does that cost? And it's like the more expensive your lifestyle is, the basically higher dollar amount you're going to need to bring in to create that lifestyle freedom. So for me, it's like my first thing was like, well, I just want lifestyle freedom, as in I don't want to have to answer to someone else. I don't want to be on someone else's timeline, right? Those are
Right.
my two biggies. So it's like, well, how do I get there? And it's just like, all right, well, I do need to have some financial. I don't even call it financial freedom because at the end of the day, like your first level is, all right, what does it cost me to live? Right? Like to keep a roof over my head, to feed myself and my dependents, right? To pay my insurance, to put gas in the car, and to occasionally go out to a dinner with friends, right? Like kind of like the bare minimum of just not being a miserable person, right? And then once you know what that number is, it's like, all right, sweet. Let me get that. And then this really like frees me up, right? But I don't know that I consider that financial freedom because you can't do anything you want. Like, it's like if you have a friend that calls you up, I'm like, hey, we're going to go on a 7-day cruise across Europe and it's going to be like $7,000. And you're like, I don't have $7,000, right? Like, that's like that first level, right? So like then it's like, all right, well now I want to level up to be able to do like the fun discretionary stuff more so. But the difference is now you have the schedule to do it because it's not like, oh, I only have 14 PTO days and it's like, and I need a week here to go see my family or whatever. And then it's like, now I got 7 days. And if I go on this cruise, then I have no PTO left. It's like, that's not lifestyle freedom.
No.
So yeah, like I said, there's always gonna be a money component to it, but I think people can find lifestyle freedom much earlier in the financial freedom journey than they realize. You just have to ask yourself what you really want and what does that look like? And, what you're willing to, I don't want to say give up, but it's like, riddle me this. If someone said to you, hey, listen, you're in a position where you could quit your job today and live on your own terms, but instead of you and your wife driving BMWs, you both gonna have to drive Toyota Corollas. Like, to me, if you're not willing to drive a Toyota Corolla to be able to leave your job, we're not peoples. Like, we're not meant to be friends. Like, because
Exactly.
like, how much do you really want it? It's like, what's more important? Like, keeping up with the Joneses and appearances. And I listen, I joke and say like Adam Sandler's my like spirit animal
I
because
can't believe you just brought him up. He's married. His wife is from Coral Springs, by the way, where I
I
grew
did
up.
not know that.
She went to Coral Springs High School.
Dude, that's nuts.
And
Well,
Adam Sandler is my hall pass. I was literally just talking about this. I can't believe you brought up Adam Sandler because I love humor.
I mean, that's
And
awesome.
talking about lifestyle, I mean, that man, he does not like wearing a suit. He wears his
Is my
gym
point.
shorts. Exactly.
So, and ironically, I mean, Happy Gilmore is my favorite movie, and I've been quoting it literally since like freshman year of college. That's the thing. It's like this guy is worth like probably what, $1 billion, like, and
Right.
he literally looks like a bum. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll dress up nice when it makes sense, but it's like I don't like he doesn't like he gives zero Fs. It's just like,
Exactly.
and I love that, which he's completely comfortable in his own skin. And as I've gotten older, I've gotten more comfortable in my own skin, and I worry less about what people think. Because at the end of the day, it's like when you are comfortable with yourself, like when you know that, like, it's like, all right, I'm a good person, I do the right thing, like, and it's just like, why would I worry about what people think? Like,
Right.
I'm not like, it's like, I'm not an a-hole. It's just like, so I think a lot, and that's the funny part is I think it's the people that actually are nice are the ones that are usually the most self-conscious, worried about what people think. And
Exactly.
and this is going to be a sidebar, but honestly, it's a gem that I got to drop because I went through this journey. I was a late bloomer, and it wasn't until my early 40s where I really started to like get over like the people pleasing trait, because people pleasing doesn't make anyone happy, including yourself.
Exactly.
And my mind got blown when I heard a woman whose name I don't even know. It was like a snippet from a random podcast. And she said, if you're a people pleaser, show me a list of the people that are pleased with you. And my mind went, poof, and that was it. Like, it was literally the straw that broke the camel's back. And I was like, the list is nobody. And if it is, it's one or two people, but they like, it'll come off it and back on it and off it and back on it. Like, even if it's your spouse. And it just gave me the ability to let go and realized, you know what? You're a good dude. You always look out for people. You're always connecting people. Like, you do the right thing. Like, stop worrying about if people like, if people like you, and like, and like living your life to just please others. Like, you also have to look out for yourself. It's like to put your mask on first before you help. It's like, so anyone that's struggling with being a people pleaser, just remember that line, because the list, it doesn't exist. So
That is
just
so true.
be a good person rather than being a nice person.
Absolutely. And this talk about Adam Sandler has me thinking about navy beans, meatloaf sandwich. All right, I'm done.
Oh, I
Sloppy
can't even start
Joe,
Adam Sandler quotes,
I
otherwise we'll
know.
get nothing else done. You don't even know. You have no idea. I can't even do it.
Chalamet. That's
I've been quoting the scene in Happy Gilmore with women for years where the first girlfriend goes to leave him. It's like, just, we're not even going to get into it.
okay. All right. So I love everything that you're saying. And I know mindset is a huge aspect of you running your business. And how important is it when making investment decisions, when running a business, sticking to the right mindset?
So you know what? I'm gonna just kind of touch on what was personal to me, because being very risk adverse and being a scaredy cat, that was my biggest limiter. And some people are the other way. Like, there's other people that are the go for it type people, and those people often have to be careful they don't blow up, because they go so hard so fast, and it's great when it works, and then all of a sudden it's like boom. But for me, it's just, don't let the fear stop you. My only, and I don't even like using this word, but for convenience, my only regret in my investing is the things I didn't do. And that's not to say I still didn't make some mistakes, but the reality is, like, if you're not making any mistakes, you're not trying.
Right.
And that's something I really had to keep saying to myself, because like I always, and Gary Vee said something that really like hit me, because I used to wear like a badge of honor the fact that like I never lost money on a real estate deal. Like, I was, whatever it is, like 16-0, or whatever the number is. It's probably higher than that now. I'm going back some years, but Gary Vee once said, he's like, everyone's so worried about like not making a mistake or not taking a loss. He's like, and while you're 12-0, I'm 115-17. And I was like, he's like, well, he's like, which one's better? And I was like, well, obviously you got 98 more wins. Like yours is better. So that's when I started to become a little more aggressive and realize like, you're not like, don't chase perfectionism. Like it doesn't exist. No matter how careful you are, you're still going to have stuff that doesn't go right. And by doing that, you've also missed a bunch of opportunities that would have went right. So I look back, especially at real estate, and all I do is look at all the properties I didn't buy that, and don't get me wrong, there's bad deals that I avoided, but they were clear, like all the stuff that was on the borderline. And I just was too scared to pull the trigger. And looking back, I'm like, when I look at it now, because obviously I have way more experience now, I'm like, that thing actually was a layup. Like, why was I thinking that was like something to worry about? But you don't know what you don't know. You're scared. I mean, listen, I lost out on a couple of good deals in Lake Worth because I'd never used hard money before. Like this is going back to like 2015.
Wow.
So this is 10 years ago. Like I hadn't used hard money and like it kind of scared me. I'm like, I don't know, like, oh my God, high interest and points. And like, what am I gonna do if I can't like refi and worrying because I'd never done it yet. So I was worried about all the what ifs of what can go wrong instead of what could go right. So I procrastinated, and then by the time I like actually pulled the trigger and then got like proof of funds lined up with them, this, that, and the other thing, and got my offer in, they already accepted an offer. I became the backup offer and didn't get it. There was 2 single family houses and they were steals. I mean, single family houses in Lake Worth for like, we're talking like $180 that needed like, they probably needed like, I don't know, 30 grand in work. It wasn't even that bad. Like this is back when, because that was the like 2014, 15, when I got started in 2014, like that was the tail end of like the super layups, as I call them. Cause like from 2010 to 2013, you were basically buying like winning lottery tickets without knowing it. Like just buying properties for pennies on the dollar. Right.
Right.
So 2014, 2015, there were still good deals, like literally on the MLS. And then that died quickly after. So yeah, just don't let the fear paralyze you. Be wary of analysis paralysis, because I'm a numbers
Exactly what I was
guy.
gonna say. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm a numbers guy. So I would just paralyze myself, running the numbers, running every scenario you can think of. Which, sidebar, you should. Like anytime you
Yes.
run numbers on a property, I run 3 scenarios, and it's basically best case, middle of the row, worst case. And if my worst case scenario is going to meet my minimum standards, then I know it's a fucking green light and I don't even go. Pardon my French.
No.
No, this is the Badass Podcast.
It is.
I was doing good, and then the New York finally came out.
The New York has arrived. So I love the analysis paralysis. I am married to a finance guy myself, so we balance each other very well. But I do like that he has a lot of those checks and balances. But do you see any other mindset mistakes that investors make? One for me that I see in a lot of investors is imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah.
They don't want to do anything until they know everything about a certain topic. And I'm a big believer in learning by doing. So pushing people out of their comfort zone. Do you know of any, or can you think of any other mindset mistakes that newer investors make?
Oh goodness. I mean, I want to ponder, but I kind of want to grab a hold of the imposter syndrome
Go ahead, yes.
loop that you just threw out there, because that one is very real. I've seen it I have some friends that have become really successful and have really successful podcasts on top of that. And they even talk to me about imposter syndrome. And I'm like, I get it, because that and the goal thing. So I'm going to give you a quick example. So I remember years ago when I had owned, like I was doing my thing in Florida. I owned my real estate in Florida. I hadn't started doing out of state yet. And I have a friend / mentor who I would meet with for lunch once a week. And one day he called me out. And he's like, dude, he's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, do you hear yourself? I was like, how? He's like, you talk about yourself like you're a failure. He's like, you're a successful real estate investor. He's like, you own cash flowing rental properties. And the problem was, all I looked at was the goalpost. Like I had like 5 rental properties or whatever. I was bringing in X amount of income, but I was only like a third of the way to where I wanted to be and where I thought I needed to be. So in my mind, I had accomplished nothing. And he was just like, dude, you're a successful real estate investor. He's like, it doesn't matter if you haven't gotten to your final goal. He's like, you're already, and then it kind of like gave me an epiphany. And I apologize because I'm going on a tangent, but I started doing a morning routine, and this morning routine changed me. It's what really helped me grow into my confidence. And part of that morning routine was every day I would write out 5 gratitudes.
Love it.
And one of the gratitudes I would write every single day. I did this process for like a year and a half. You think I would do it every day of my life, considering the effect it had. But every day I would write, I'm grateful that I have cash flowing rental properties. And by writing that every day, I started to realize like, dude, I have cash flowing rental properties. Like, I'm a successful real estate investor.
Yes.
And I finally started giving myself some credit. And that helped me to an extent let go of the imposter syndrome, at least when it came to being a real estate investor. And also realizing like, you're always going to find people that know more than you, and you're always going to find people that know less than you. So I have gone on stage and spoken at events about real estate investing. And it's just like, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, well, I do small multifamily, and it's just like, and I do single family and small family flips. And it's like, I haven't bought a 80 unit building. Like, what do I belong on this stage for? But then I realized I'm like, well, anyone out there that has done less than I've done clearly can get information from me and learn something.
Yep.
So we always do the comparison thing. We FOMO, but at the end of the day, when it comes to imposter syndrome, just always remember, it's like, all right, do I have experience or knowledge that can help somebody? And if the answer is yes, then let go of the imposter syndrome. It doesn't matter where you are in your journey. There's someone that hasn't reached the step you have had. And if you can help that person, then therefore it's worthwhile. And it doesn't matter if there's other people in the room that know more than you, because you're not there for them. You're there to help the people that know less than you. The people that know more from you, those are the people that you're going to learn from.
Huge. And I will use this analogy. If I wanted to learn how to play golf, which I don't ever, I would not go to Tiger Woods and say, hey, can you teach me how to play golf? I want to go to someone who's a couple steps ahead of me to show me how to golf, which I will never do because, well, I mean, there is drinking involved, so I may be convinced to do it.
I mean, that's a lot of golfing. People golf just for the drinking and the networking and potential deals. I always joke and say, I'm not going to learn how to golf until I can't play basketball anymore. I'm still barely getting up and down the court, but so as long as these legs keep holding up.
Oh, you play full court still? Goodness, I'm just half court myself. Just kidding.
Yeah, well, I do a lot of half court, yeah, but we'll see. Listen, I'm about to turn 47. My goal is to at least get to 50 hooping it, but we'll see how long it can go. But yeah, I mean, that's spot on. And I saw something recently that really drove that home. And the person said, when you're looking for a mentor, stop looking for essentially the Tiger Woods. Look for someone that's one step ahead of you.
Right.
Because 2 things. One, they're going to be 10 times easier to find and actually like be willing to help you. And 2, they will help you make that next step, because it's a ladder. You got to take every step. You're not Superman jumping from the ground to the top of the tower. So forget looking for Tiger Woods, to use that example again. Like, find your local buddy that like was a good golfer.
Exactly.
And then when you get as good as him, then talk some smack, and then find someone that's a little bit better than that. And that's what people I think should do with business and investing. So again, that goes, I think, back to the whole imposter syndrome thing. If you have something of knowledge to offer somebody, then why are you worrying about being an imposter? Like, not everyone's going to be Tiger Woods. Not everyone's going to be Elon Musk.
Thank God. I'm just kidding. All right. Well, before we go to the second part of the podcast here, you have written 2 books, and you have mentioned it multiple times, and I cannot wait to hear where this title comes from, but that you have the phrase Scaredy-Cat Guide in both of the titles of your books, and you're writing a 3rd book now too. But tell me, where does Scaredy-Cat Guide come from?
So again, like I said, I was always risk adverse. My thing was I always had to focus on putting my foot on the pedal as opposed to pressing the brake. Everyone's built, we're built one way or the other. We're either the greed type or the fear type. And people that are the go for it type generally can build big things pretty fast. They're also the type that can blow up because they're always just putting it down. So for me, I was always fear-based and too careful. So it's all right. I have to be cognizant of this and force myself to be more aggressive, because at the end of the day, I'm a scaredy cat. And I guess it's just a term like when we were younger, oh, don't be a scaredy cat. And then my thing was I started this brand, and I had this vision at one point. It's not something so much anymore where I was going to I'm going to create this series of books. It's going to be kind of like the for dummies type of guide. So I'm like, all right, it'll be Scaredy-Cat Guide 2, and it could be whatever topic. It could be real estate. It could be crypto. It could be financial freedom. It could be whatever topic you can think of. So that's kind of how I stumbled into the whole Scaredy-Cat Guide thing. And also the aim was to help people that were risk averse like me. So I'm like, all right, well, this title obviously will attract those people. So that's kind of how it started. And I'm a writer. I used to blog regularly for a long time until I kind of burnt out. So that just led into I wanted to write a book. So I wrote an intro to real estate investing, mainly an intro to rental properties, like complete newbie book, like buy your first property, manage your first property. Like this is what closing looks like. This is what a sales contract looks like. This is what a HUD looks like. All the things that I wish I would have known.
Right.
Because like my first rental property I bought, it should have been the happiest moment of my life. I walked out of the title office angry, frustrated, and feeling miserable. Like the deal almost fell apart. All the people I was relying on, because I was relying on my real estate agent, I was relying on my mortgage broker. And like when we got to the 11th hour, they were all like MIA. The only reason the deal actually got done was because of the seller's agent was a rock star. And she literally like carried everyone over the goal line. So that was my big motivation to write that book. I'm like, I don't want anyone to have this experience that I just had. Like this should be like one of the proudest moments of my life. I just bought my first rental property and my first property period. And I walked out of that title office angry, frustrated, and wondering if I made a bad choice.
Right.
So that's how that book started. And it's a complete newbie book. Anyone that hasn't bought a property or maybe bought their first property and looking to buy their second one. And then it kind of became the same thing with the crypto book, because in 2020, I think it was, I'd be going to my local real estate meetups, and just crypto was so hot that half the meetups, like we'd be talking about crypto. And a lot of times at the end of it, I became like the crypto guy in the real estate world. And people come up to me and they're like, hey, listen, I'm interested in buying some Bitcoin or holding some crypto, but like, I don't understand what the heck it is. And I kept hearing that over and over. So I'm like, well, I already know what the title of the book's going to be. So that's how I came up with Scaredy-Cat Guide to knowing what the heck Bitcoin is, because it's literally what people kept saying to me. Like, what the heck is it? So I wrote basically I call it a booklet because it's only like 55 pages. I'm like, there's no reason to fluff this up. Like, I want people to be able to have a resource where the light bulb can go off and do it as quick as possible. And that's what that book does. It's going to take you from, I don't know what this is. It's this magic internet money to, oh, I understand what it is. I understand what a crypto wallet is. I understand what an exchange is. I understand how to like safe keep my crypto and what a blockchain is. Because that's really all you really need to know is those basic things. And it saves you from doing anything stupid, so you don't end up like one of those news stories like the guy in the UK that was trying to like get a dump like dug up because he had thrown out a computer that had like 100 million in Bitcoin or something. And I'm like, guy, you should have your secret phrase. You don't need your computer. Like, it's on the blockchain. That's the whole point of the blockchain. So we won't get into the crypto lesson, but let's just say this guy messed up, and if he had done things right, he could have just downloaded it onto another computer. So again, it goes back to, I like helping people make good financial decisions, or more so prevent them from making bonehead financial decisions. Because the reality is we live in a world when, unfortunately, the quality of your lifestyle is a lot dictated by what finances you have. So if you can make a few better choices and therefore have a better life, right? I feel like that's just, I don't know. That's my way of, I guess, helping make the world a better place.
And teaching people they don't have to be a scaredy cat. And I love the forward thinking of, I'm going to keep writing books. And so you have a whole theme there. I love all of that. So Mitch, you shared some amazing tips and tricks and everything. I did a Badassery bestowment at the beginning of the podcast. Do you have a quick nugget to share with the listeners?
I mean, I'm a quote guy, so I think that's the easy button and the quick version. So one quote that I love is from Jeff Bezos, and he said, "Be stubborn with your vision and flexible with the details."
Ooh.
And that's something that I wish I would have came across much earlier, because you're not, I mean, you know this as a real estate investor, like whatever you think the path is to that goal, that's not the path. Like there's going to be zigs, there's going to be zags. You're going to exit off the freeway and have to take local roads for a while and then get back on the freeway. So that's the keep the vision down on the horizon. You still have your eye on that mountain, but know that, that highway you thought you were taking directly to that mountain. Yeah, that's not happening. And you have to be okay and not stubborn. And it's like, hey, there's a 5-car pile up on the highway. I should probably get off and take a local road. Take the local road. Don't be stubborn and be like, no, this is the way I'm doing it, because you're only going to slow yourself down. So just keep your eye on the vision, but be flexible with how you get there, because the details will change. It's not going to look exactly like you thought it would when you first started this idea. So I think that's a big takeaway that has helped me a lot.
Huge. And that is, again, be stubborn with your vision, but flexible with the details. I love that. So we are going to move to the second part of the podcast here, Mitch, and it is what makes you a badass. And I use the acronym BADASS, and the first letter is B for book. What's a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
This was a tough one, because I'm like, I have to just pick one. Catch me on a different day and it'll probably be something different, but this is definitely one that's an awesome read. Everyone should read, because it does bestow a ton of financial literacy. It's Tony Robbins' Money, Master the Game. Great book, especially if you still have a W-2. A really great book, because he talks a lot about 401ks. And I'm gonna tell you right now, nugget, if you have a 401k and your employer is not matching, do not have a 401k. It doesn't make sense. It costs, you're paying extra fees. You should just have a self-directed IRA. So make sure your employer is matching, and make sure you max that match. If you do not, don't even have a 401k, because you're paying more in fees than you should, and you're limiting your choices. Not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, at least not anymore. I was in a former life back when I lived in New York.
No, that is great advice. We work with a self-directed IRA company, and I promote them on my website for rainmastermind.com. And it is a very useful tool with investing as well, because you can borrow from yourself sometimes when you need a little extra to get you through the end of that rehab, or you can lend money from there. And
I was just going to say that.
Exactly.
You have, like,
going back to our lenders at the beginning
in a 401k, like you can't like lend your money to real estate investors. You have a self-directed IRA, and let's just say Miss Jen hits you up and say, hey, I have an awesome investment and I'm looking for a private lender. You're like, oh, sweet. I can put my money into something besides stock. And we all know, anyone that's involved in real estate knows that the hard money rates are pretty tasty, and it's backed by real estate. So it's relatively safe as long as you deal with a good operator. And that's the same thing as you talk about vetting lenders. Same thing. If you're going to, like, I have a private money lender I use, and the reason that he lends money to me is because he knows my track record. He knows me, and he knows that I know what I'm doing. And at the end of the day, it's a low risk investment. So vet everyone, vet your lenders, vet whoever you're going to invest money with, their track record and all that. And at the end of the day, it's like, we all do business with people we know, like, and trust.
Yep.
So if you cover those three things, you're usually going to be good. Obviously, there's no guarantees. Plenty of people know, like, and trust Bernie Madoff. No guarantees in life.
Oh my goodness. I think he's living up here in North Carolina somewhere at prison. All right. So the first A in Badass is advice. You've given us great advice throughout this podcast. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Man, I feel like I already capitulated on advice giving. I was dropping a lot.
You were.
The best piece of advice I've ever gotten. Oh my goodness. I feel like I already gave all the good ones. Now I'm scrambling for something new. I don't even remember what I prepped, ironically.
Well, like that you were talking
I think
about,
it was the Bezos quote, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I like that you were talking about the guy that you worked with who was a stock trader, and he said, buy real estate.
Well, and honestly, and he was not wrong. This guy bought 3 one-bedroom condos on Clematis for 30 grand each. I want to vomit every time I think about it. I was like, really, bro?
Exactly,
I'm like, what?
where that
I
is.
was so addicted to the stock market that I'm just like, I'm not going to do anything else but real estate. I'm going to make $1 million in 1 year. So honestly, advice-wise, that made me think about timeline. This is something that I actually need to still do better about myself. The clock doesn't stop, right? You're going to look up, and 5 years are going to blown by. So yes, everybody, especially in today's society where you got like social media people blowing up, and it's like, oh, they go from 0 to 60 in the matter of months, and all of a sudden they're made millions. Yeah, that's great. But that's such a small percentage. So you can either chase the lotto ticket, which is what I did with my day trading in my late 20s and early 30s. I wasted probably 5, 6 years of what could have been long-term building by chasing the everyday money. Know the clock doesn't stop. Know that doing like the small things you do every day are going to add up. And yeah, the shiny object syndrome is there. Yeah, we
Mhm.
all get distracted. I'm like, ooh, a squirrel, right? Like, so just again, it goes back to that quote, right? Be stubborn with your vision, right? And then take steps every single day. And for someone like me who's so anti-routine, I'm the least routine people. I don't even know how I have any success because all the successful people I know are routine machines.
Right.
I have such little routine, and I know it hinders my success. Like I probably could have twice the success I've had if I was willing to have more of a set routine and have certain things get done every single day. So just don't be impatient. Do the small steps. Like life's going to go on anyway. So you might as well do things that are going to at least build the block towards what you want. It's like that saying, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? Right. So just that would be the advice I'd give. Like just do the little things every day and just know you're going to look up and it's going to be 3 years later. And you're like, holy crap, I had no rental properties 3 years ago. And now I'm doing my first 1031 exchange because I'm going to sell this one that I have a bunch of equity in. And now all of a sudden I'm flipping this single family into a 4 unit. And I say that as an example. I did that with my partner in Massachusetts. We bought this tiny 2 bedroom single family house. We held it for 2 years. Like we renovated, refied, because we generally do the burst strategy, which people say is dead. It's not dead. It's just much harder to find.
Right.
So, and we rented the property for 2 years and then we sold it 2 years later. And the profit we made off of it, we used as a down payment on a 4 unit. So it's like,
Awesome.
and that was over the course of basically 3 years. So just let time, especially with real estate, right? You know the saying, and I'll end this segment with that. You don't wait to buy real estate. You buy real estate and wait.
Yes. Well said. All right. The D in badass is for drive. What drives you to be successful?
Oh man. The Well, this goes back to the lifestyle freedom,
Right.
right? And part of that is this is going to sound bad because it's the opposite of whatever. Everyone else is so driven and they want to go. So I'll give a quick example of the actor Matt LeBlanc that played Joey on Friends.
Yes.
I found
How
out he's
you
my spirit.
doing? How you
Yeah,
doing?
yeah, how you doing? Well, I found out in real life he's also my spirit animal. Him and Adam Sandler are like my spirit animals. So I was watching this random like late night show, like it was a clip from him being on a late night show a few years ago, and he basically said he's like, yeah, after Friends, I did Joey. He's like, and then after Joey, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna take a year off. And he's like, and I had my daughter. He's like, and then a year turned into 3. He's like, and then I did Man with a Plan. He's like, and then after that, he was like, oh, I'm gonna take a little time off. He's like, and then I just decided I'm good. And the host is like, well, what do you mean? Like, what do you do? He's like, nothing. He's like, well, what do you mean you do nothing? He's like, what, like you, when you wake up in the morning, like, what does your day look like? He's like, most days I wake up and I ask myself, what do I need to do? Nothing. And he's like, and I couldn't be happier. And I was like, this is me. Like,
Yep.
I have so many friends that are super successful and they can't shut it off. They're just achievers. Go, 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 go. And my problem is I have to constantly make sure I keep it on enough because I enjoy doing nothing. Like, it is my happy place. Like, I like to just chill. And no one ever sees it coming because, like, they see this person that, like, they see that, like, all right, you left your day job, you're successful, like, you have your own business, you work for yourself, like, you have this lifestyle freedom, and they think that I must like be building like these awesome, like I'm not trying to build an empire. I don't want to be a billionaire. Like I have friends that want to be
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. I have friends that want to
Yes.
be billionaires and more power to you. And I'm rooting for you. And if I can help you along the way, awesome. But like I see what needs to go into having a certain level of financial success. And I don't want to do that. That's not lifestyle freedom to me. That's me basically just instead of working for someone else, now I've created my own prison where it's like I have I look at these guys' calendars and I almost like get chills because every day is just stacked.
Ugh.
And I was like, that's not the point. The point of leaving my job is so I can enjoy life. Like, so that's the biggest question everyone should ask themselves. And we were talking about this earlier in terms of that lifestyle freedom versus financial freedom. Like, ask yourself, what do you truly want? And if it's you want to be a baller and you want to have a private jet and you want to be like Grant Cardone, do it. Just know you're going to be on the grind. Like you're going to be grinding. That's like you're going to live, eat, and breathe your business, and that's fine if you enjoy that. If you want to be able to chill a lot more and have that lifestyle freedom, that's going to be a different financial picture. So you got to find your happy place. And that's why when people always they ask me for like financial advice, I'm like, listen, that's a very personal question because my goals, my tolerance, my flexibility is very different than yours. So
Right.
all I can do is listen to what you say you want and then give you my opinion.
Huge. I think we need a Scaredy-Cat guide to lifestyle freedom. I think that should be a book coming up. Just planting that seed for
I
you,
mean, let's
Mitch.
just say the book title that I don't want to share that I need to write is that book, just an even cooler title.
Oh, I love it. Perfect. I'm so happy to hear that. All right. The second A in Badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So, what is a goal you are currently working on?
Oh man, let's see. I mean, there's a couple. So this one's going to be a little more esoteric instead of something tangible. So I get a buddy, and it's all walks of life, right? So I have a buddy. I know him from playing basketball, but he's a big faith guy. He's a teacher at Boca Christian, and he's big in his faith. And so he does something though because you can learn something from everybody, whether you're vibing with them or not in terms of their lifestyle. So he does something called Word of the Year, which there's apparently is a guy wrote a book about it or whatever. I'd never heard about this though. So he's been doing it for 5 years, and I'm thinking about it. I'm like, word of the year. I was like, what? He's like, you pick one word that's going to be like your foundation, your theme, your mantra for the year. And I'm like, I'm way too long-winded to pick a word. Like it needs to be a phrase. But then I sat and I thought about it for a minute, and I thought about like what my recent frustrations were and like how I was going about the world. And my word became bravery. My word for 2025 was going to be bravery. And this goes back to the people pleasing thing that I like had recently just kind of like started to and setting boundaries, which is one of the reasons I kind of even backed away from a lot of coaching stuff because like I was bad at setting boundaries and then protecting my time, right?
Mhm.
So that was my word of the year. And my aspiration for this year is to honor that word as much as I can. I will tell you, we're 3 months into the year. I've already honored that word and failed that word multiple times. Right. There's been times where there's been uncomfortable conversations that I've stepped into and honored bravery. And there's been times where there's moments of whether it's like maybe an investment that I said I was going to be more aggressive in and then I still wasn't. And I failed the word bravery. Right. But that's what it was for me because I'm like, all right, when I look back over the last few years, what is it I'm not happy with? And it's all right. I need to start stepping into the uncomfortable conversations more. I need to start enforcing boundaries with a little more authority. I need to get even more comfortable with the word no.
Mm.
I need to honor my word when I say, all right, I'm going to be aggressive in this investment. Like I've been waiting for Bitcoin to get to this price. I'm going to buy X amount. And instead of playing it safe and always like being like, oh, well, just in case it goes down more, it's like that wasn't the plan. So bravery is my word. Everyone, honestly, I suggest everyone, even we're only 1/4 into the year, I suggest everyone comes up with a word of the year. I think it's been a really, really good motivator for me and something that has helped me keep it top of mind.
Huge. And I actually did this exercise, I think it was probably 3 or 4 years ago. And my
Okay.
word of the year was start. It was just
Start.
start. Get out of your rut and just start. Go do it. But I don't have a word for this year. I don't know what my word would be, but thank you for bringing that up because that is great advice and it is a huge goal to set and put it on one word too. That is tough to break it down to one word. All right, the first S in badass is for systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
I will openly admit this is the weakest part of my game. Again, and this goes back to I'm not a routine person, and so I don't use a lot of systems, and and I know it's probably the biggest Achilles heel in my businesses. So yeah, I mean, obviously I leverage Google Calendar. Everyone should at a minimum leverage that because there's no way you're going to remember to do all the things you think you are going to remember you need to
Ever.
do. And then when it comes to real estate, I mean, there's so many different softwares out there. I, at this point, should have probably upgraded to like a Buildium or an Appfolio, but I'm still just using apartments.com for my leases and for my rental payments. And then everything else, I'm still kind of doing manually. I make fun of myself about it.
I mean, same. We are at apartments.com. That's what we use as well.
There you
So,
go.
and I
So
mean,
yeah,
we have a small multifamily that we have someone managing for us, but apartments.com, it rocks. It's easy. It's So
It gets
I
the
agree.
job done.
It does get the job done.
So you know what it is? It's like anything else, right? You don't change until the discomfort of not changing has grown bigger than, so we're getting there. Like, I figure like we're like maybe one, maybe two properties away to the point where I'm like, all right, now this is just dumb. Like we just need to upgrade and go to whether it's Buildium or something like that. So it's in the near future. I think we've done the last year, we've done more flips than normal. And I'm like starting to think, I'm like, are we subconsciously doing more flips so we don't force ourselves to upgrade like by getting more units?
I hear you. Well, Mitch, I could talk to you for hours. You
Yes.
are a great conversationalist. So to wrap up this badass, the final S is for success. And I said what success means to me, which is choices, but what does success mean to you?
It is what I've already attained. I just want more of it. Lifestyle freedom.
Perfect.
So success for me is lifestyle freedom. I've reached that. So now I have to force myself to stay motivated enough to reach the next level of financial freedom. I always talk about there's like 3 levels of financial freedom, I think I talk about, and I'm at level 2. I want to get to level 3. So level 1 is when you basically have your basic necessities covered. You're not going to be on the street, even if you don't work. Level 2 is, all right, I've basically replaced the exact lifestyle I had when I had my day job. And then level 3 is, all right, now I can do that next level stuff in terms of I can call up all my childhood friends and be like, meet me in Vegas. Like, don't worry about it. I got it. Like creating experiences for the people you care about that they otherwise wouldn't be able to do.
I love all of that. Well, it has been such a pleasure having you here. And for the listeners, how can they find you if they want to buy your books, if they want to maybe invest with you? What's the best way for listeners to find you?
So as far as the books, I mean, they're on Amazon. If you go on Amazon or just search my full name, Mitchell Jaworski, the books will pop up. I do have my website, scaredy-catguide.com. There's a lot of good information on there. A lot of it is dated, but luckily with real estate, that information is good for a lifetime. And then obviously you can find me on Facebook, Mitchell Jaworski. And yeah, that's kind of the main things. I do the bare minimum of socials.
Well, I am now following you on Facebook thanks to
Nice.
Dave doing the introduction there. So, Mitch, this has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much for being here today.
I appreciate the time so much. It was awesome.
Absolutely. And that is all. Thank you for listening. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Now, go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josey by visiting therealjenjosey.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.